This meeting of the Rolling Meadows City Council is hereby called to order. Would everyone please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cannon is here. He's getting my battery.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Cannon? Here. Brina?
Here.
Majikis?
Here.
Judd?
Here.
Baner?
Here.
Diastis is absent. Veenbos?
Present.
There's no battery detected.
With 6 present and 1 absent, Alderman Diastis is not expected this evening. A quorum is present. Therefore, members of the audience are reminded that these proceedings are being videotaped for current and future broadcast over the city's cable television channel. The first item on the agenda is a motion to approve the minutes of the January 12th council meeting. Is there such a motion? Mr. Veenbos has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the set of minutes? Seeing none, the question is, shall the minutes be approved? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. The next item on the council agenda is a motion to deviate for 2 separate purposes. Tonight is one of the nights where we have to have a public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant process. This is the Call for Projects night. And the second is to swear in 3 different firefighters this evening. The chair would ask unanimous consent to simply flip the order of those 2 so that everybody who's here for the firefighters does not have to listen to all the verbiage that we're required to read for the Community Development Block Grant. Is there any objection to flipping the 2 in the order? Then seeing none, the chair declares it in order for a motion to deviate to first swear in the firefighters and then do the public hearing. Is there such a motion? Mr. Baner has made the motion, and it has been seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it, and will now deviate for those 2 separate purposes. So, for the first one, I'm going to take the walking, talking, traveling microphone with me. And I'm going to ask Craig Allen and Pat O'Mara to please come forward. So closer to the podium is Pat O'Mara. Pat is not actually somebody who's a firefighter as a first career. He worked in construction, and as the story goes, one morning was on the way to work and saw a car accident that involved a car sinking into water, and got out and did something about it himself and actually saved the life of a fella in the car and so forth and so on. And he says that's kind of what got the wheels turning in terms of, hey, maybe I should switch jobs. And he's a firefighter now. So if anybody's been paying attention to the news, maybe Jamie Foxx will be sworn in sometime next year if he has the same kind of experience. Then Craig Allen, standing right next to him, has worked in Franklin Park, where I currently work, as a matter of fact, at the moment, just not in the fire department, and also in Elk Grove Township. And so he's had a couple experiences with some of Rolling Meadows' better suburbs. And so we hope people that you know at those places, you'll be, making fun of them that you finally made it to where the big boys are and have made it to Rolling Meadows. So gentlemen, we're very glad to have you here. I'm going to ask you please to raise your right hand and to repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Craig Allen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of a firefighter to the best of my ability.
of a firefighter to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, gentlemen. So these gentlemen have a couple folks, I believe a wife and a fiance, yes, who are going to do the ceremonial pinning of the badge. So ladies, please come forward. Then next we'll bring up Lieutenant Rick Acosta. It's nice to have somebody finally my age at these swearing-in things. Rick started in Rolling Meadows in 1993, which is actually the same year I started teaching, so that's a little something. And I just have to say very quickly before people leave, as a teacher, I get a big kick out of hearing the Pledge of Allegiance at this meeting said by voices under 40. That's really something that makes me smile, let me tell you. So anyway, I believe that the very first ride-along, or perhaps the second that I did as an alderman back in 2001, Rick was one of the firefighters that was on that shift that day. Rick has done just about everything the fire department offers, including being its most recent union president. And so the thing that I saw from the sheet that I thought was the most interesting, having grown up where the Dailies grew up, it says on the sheet down in Bridgeview, Rick says he specifically remembers having to find where the heck Rolling Meadows was on a map to come to the job interview here when he was called to come in and take a look at the job. So Rick, first of all, congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you.
And secondly, would you please raise your right hand and take the mic in your left? And repeat after me. I, Rick Acosta,
I, Rick Acosta,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of a lieutenant to the best of my ability.
of a lieutenant to the best of my abilities.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I understand there's going to be a small crowd pinning on Rick's badge. Is that correct? Come on up. Oh, okay. That's what we decided. All right. So at this point, we'll take an informal recess, and please, anybody who'd like to take pictures, maybe up in the front if you like, or in the back by the cake, which is probably more important, or anything else along those lines, you're free to do so.
Not too bad. How you been?
He's running, but it's not detecting the battery. But he said since it's plugged in, it should be okay. Thank you.
back to session and put everybody right to sleep. The next thing on the deviation is the public hearing. These words are required by law to be read at the call for projects stage of the process. Therefore, I hope you'll please bear with me. The Cook County Bureau of Administration requires the City of Rolling Meadows to hold a public hearing regarding the use of Cook County Community Development Block Grant funds. This hearing is to solicit input from the community regarding future funding and program needs. Let the record show that this public hearing opened at 7:45 p.m. on Tuesday, January 26, 2016. The Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program funds a variety of needs, some of which include single-family rehabilitation, fair housing activities, housing counseling, affordable housing opportunities, infrastructure improvements, commercial rehabilitation, capital improvements, and public service activities. The City of Rolling Meadows encourages any interested parties or organizations to present any current or future requests or ideas regarding the use of Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program funds. The City of Rolling Meadows City Council will be requested to approve any Community Development Block Grant project applications at a regularly scheduled meeting in late February or in March 2016 to meet the schedule as established by the Cook County Bureau of Administration. The city is required to follow the established procedures of the Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program regarding project submittal and established limitations on funding. The City of Rolling Meadows will also consider any necessary revisions to its 5-year plan, which is on file with the Cook County Department of Planning and Development at a future council meeting. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak specifically regarding the Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program? Then seeing none, let the record show that this public hearing closed at 7:47 p.m. on January 26, 2016. There we go. Those are the deviations for tonight's meeting. Under the mayor's report, I have 2 quick items at the risk of the second one maybe being a bit of a commercial. Something that I will be attending this weekend is the Northwest Municipal Conference Legislative Brunch. I know Mr. Krumstock is expected to be in attendance as well. This is an annual event where the conference of towns that we belong to, which happens to contain 44 and is about to pick up its 45th town, will present to the state legislature the priorities that we would like to politely request that they take on as they come back to Springfield. As I'm sure anybody might be able to guess, that's probably a bit more contentious than it usually is at our legislative brunches. And so if anything particularly interesting happens there, I'll be happy to make that part of the next mayor's report. Secondly, I know I was not alone, but another event was right before this council meeting across the street and down the block at Lexington Crossing. There was a bit of an open house, and I know a number of us attended. I was very impressed. It's quite an operation that they have running there in terms of putting these things up. They look wonderful, and they're really picking up over there. It's really something to see. And so I encourage anybody, anytime you see an opportunity where they're hosting some form of open house or whatever, I would encourage you to do so because it's quite impressive. That's the mayor's report for this evening. Are there ward reports? Then seeing none, and the fact that there are no signatories on the sign-in sheet this evening, the council can proceed directly to its items on the agenda, which usually start with ordinances that are in for second reading, but tonight there are none. Therefore, the consent agenda for ordinances in for first reading contains only 2 items. Therefore, if either is pulled, there will be no consent agenda. They are items A and B. Would any alderman like either of those items removed from the consent agenda? Then seeing none, the chair asks unanimous consent to consider both ordinances on their first reading in one motion. Is there any objection to doing so? Seeing no objection, the chair declares it in order for a motion to approve both ordinances on their first reading. Is there such a motion? Mrs. Majikis has made the motion and Mr. Banjer has seconded. Therefore, the question is, shall both of these ordinances be moved forward for second reading? Item A would clarify the provisions of the city code relating to the operation of drones within the city limits. And item B would approve a Class B liquor license for Garden Liquors at 2202 Algonquin Road. Again, the question is, shall both ordinances be moved forward for second reading? The clerk will please call the roll.
Prana?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Baner?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, the clerk will please move both of those items forward for second reading. The next item on the agenda is the warrant, the document that releases all the funds for the obligations of the city that were incurred from January 6th through the 19th. The amount for approval is just over $1 million, roughly two-thirds of which is related to the payroll. Is there a motion to approve the warrant as prepared by the Finance Department? Mrs. Majikis has made the motion, and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the warrant be approved? The clerk will please call the roll.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, the warrant is approved. That brings the council to the consent agenda for resolutions. It's a bit larger. There are 6 items, items D through I. Would any alderman like any of those items removed from the consent agenda for resolutions? Mr. Judd?
David.
Item D is removed. Further items to be removed? Then seeing none, the chair would ask unanimous consent to consider resolutions E through I all in one motion. Is there any objection to doing so? Hearing no objection, the chair declares it in order for a motion to adopt resolutions E through I. Is there such a motion? Mr. Banjer has made the motion, and it has been seconded. The question is, shall all 5 of these resolutions be adopted? Item E would purchase 1 police investigations car from Braden and Ford of Glenview at a cost of just over $18,000. Item F would approve a $106,000 contract with Acres Group of Wakanda and its subcontractor, Goodmark Nursery of Wonder Lake, for 650 Parkway tree replacements. Item G would accept the return of $725,000 in tax increment financing funds from Clark Street Development and remit the funds to Cook County. Item H would approve an $8,000 contract with Advanced Consulting Specialists in Algonquin for grant writing services. And item I would purchase 3 defibrillators from Physio Control in Redmond, Washington at a cost of almost $106,000. Again, the question is, shall all 5 resolutions be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Judd?
Yes.
Biancher?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, all 5 of those resolutions are adopted. That brings the council back to item D. This resolution, if adopted, would authorize the purchase of 4 2016 Ford Police Interceptors through the Northwest Municipal Conference's Suburban Purchasing Cooperative. The contracted dealer is Curry Motors of Frankfort, Illinois. The amount of the purchase is almost $99,000, and the funds come from the police department budget for 2016. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution? Mr. Prina on the Vehicle Replacement Committee has made the motion, and Mr. Cannon, also on the committee, has seconded. Mr. Judd, you asked that this item be pulled. You're entitled to first comments if you wish them, sir.
No, thank you.
Is there any further discussion of the resolution? Seeing none, the question is, shall the resolution be adopted? The clerk will please call the roll.
Banjer?
Yes.
Veenbos?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prina?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
No.
With 5 in favor and 1 opposed, this resolution is adopted. That concludes all of the resolutions for this evening, bringing us to other business and reports. I have no appointments nor proclamations this evening. Does the city clerk have a report?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Then Mr. Krumstott will go to community items of interest as the first city staff report.
We actually have 3 things that I want to mention, and the topics to mention start with obviously what we have going on until February 12th. We do have the city and Swank doing the Elgin recycling, how they light extension cord, wire recycling, all those kind of things out in the 2 boxes that are here at City Hall. And again, that goes until February 12th. Never hesitate if you see the box overflowing. That just means that Elgin Recycling will be here soon. We do have room. The other item that we do want to remind people, it is wintertime, but you can visit the Rolling Meadows Museum. They're at 3100 Central Road. It's still decorated with the silver trees, but I'm being told that Sunday it will be down, so now you get a different seasonal look at that point in time. And again, they're open on Sundays 1 to 4 p.m. And we actually want to mention that they will be doing a fundraiser down the line in a month or 2, but please stay tuned for that one coming up. And then because it is the last meeting of the month, we do mention February committee meetings. There will not be a zoning board for February, but there will be an economic development and a plan commission. For the economic development committee meeting, they will be meeting on Tuesday, February 2nd, starting at 6 p.m. at the back of the room here in the council chambers. And the meeting currently consists of South Bay Partners and Dominic's property discussion, 5 property discussion that we had beginning in January. They're going to be back. Economic Development Consultant discussion, again, that's a continuation from the January. Business updates and other items of interest will be on it, and then the Chamber of Commerce update. Then also on Tuesday, February 2nd, but this time starting at 7:30, the Plan Commission will be having 2 items tentatively scheduled for public hearing, and they consist of a text amendment to the city's comprehensive zoning ordinance to allow churches and places of worship, including accessory religious, social, and cultural activities as a special use in the M1 manufacturing district. And the petitioner for this is the Islamic Society of Northwest Suburbs of Chicago. And the second one also is by the petitioner, the Islamic Society of Northwest Suburbs of Chicago. And that one is a special use to allow the location of the Islamic Society of the Northwest Suburbs of Chicago onto the property commonly known as 1200 Hicks. With that actually deals with items of interest.
Then next we'll go to the new business list for this month. Also, Mr. Crumstock.
There's really 3, nothing really to note or highlight like I usually do.
Then we'll move across the council chamber to Mr. Vogt for the staff traffic advisory report.
Thank you, Mayor. The Traffic Committee met earlier in January. The report here, a few things to highlight. The majority of that meeting was spent reviewing the traffic study for the 1200 Hicks proposal, as Mr. Crumstock just referenced, for the Plan Commission. Would expect that we would at least have one more meeting or discussion on that, as some additional information is expected to be submitted for that. Just a couple of other things of note. The Kirchhoff-Oriole intersection, looking at that, has been concluded. The city engineer reported to this committee that there's an insufficient number of buses, pedestrians, once they did some infield counts to warrant any further improvement considerations at this time. They believe the current signage and paving striping is proper and is safe at this point. We can certainly monitor it if any other reports come forward that there's problems there. We continue to monitor other things that have been reported before. The Fairfax Avenue temporary parking permits for the Grove Apartments, which is expected to stay in place until spring. When that facility adds parking, as well as the Oak Lane monitoring of the school bus uses for the new lane over at the high school. Lastly, Old Plum Grove Road, we continue to work with the police department to try to improve the monitoring of the speed limits and involve some electrical connections, hopefully instead of solar, for those locations. But more to come on those issues, and they'll stay on our agenda until further notice. So that's our report for this month.
And then finally, we go to the purchase order disclosures over 2,500. Ms. Gelder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are 2 purchase order for city council review. Nothing further to note.
And that concludes all of the items that are on the agenda this evening. Are there matters not on the agenda to be discussed? Mr. Crumstock.
It's very rare, but I just want to let the city council know that during the Vehicle and Equipment Fund meeting that we had, we did mention that there will be another vehicle coming at the next council meeting. Part of it is that the price is just phenomenal. Will be paid out of seizure money, but it would just be like the detective car that you've passed tonight. So advance notice. If you look at the budget, we were only getting 5, now we're getting 6, but we want to notify you just like what we did at the Vehicle and Equipment Fund.
Advance notice is always appreciated. Thank you. Mr. Prana.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I see Deputy Chief Hogan is up here tonight, and I'm sorry to say, as I went through the warrants the best I could, and I wanted to find some question I could stick him with, because we know he's not going to be around much longer. However, I would like to bring something up for a cow meeting. The property across the street, is it TIF 2?
TIF 4, I believe.
Is
That
that-
the correct designation? The kitty corner lot there, is that?
That's true.
It is 2.
It is 2.
My mistake.
If staff could come back at a cow meeting with some ideas of what they think we could do with the property in the future cow meeting, you know. And
So in terms of putting together like a plan, is that what we're saying?
Yes, I guess that would be Valerie's expertise, or is that, I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor, I'm just asking.
I'm
who-
not sure either, but we can
Okay.
put that in the hands of Mr. Krumstock and let him delegate as he wishes. Mr.
So,
Krumstock?
I'll just
Yeah,
put that
we'll
up.
put it on a future one because that's something that the Economic Development Committee did talk about in the past, and that is in their purview still. So when we feel comfortable to bring it back, we will bring it back, but it will be put on the list.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
noted. Are there other matters not on the agenda? Mr. Banger?
Thank you. This is actually kind of an advertisement for a Rolling Meadows civic organization. I tried as long as I could not to join just because I have too many meetings each month, but this year I joined the Rolling Meadows Garden Club. So I'm going somewhere with this. You guys are going to crack up. But they meet the second Wednesday of each month. Social hour starts at 6, and presentation usually starts at 7. Wonderful group of people. And January, you didn't miss anything because it was mostly administrative and sign up for committees and whatnot. But February 10th, the meeting apparently has an incredible presentation about beekeeping given by a Rolling Meadows resident who just so happens to keep bees. So I was going to throw that out there, but I also just wanted to say I've mingled with these people at the farmers market, and I'm very chummy with a lot of them. And I was one of the gardens on the tour of gardens last year, so I've gotten to know them a lot better. And it's a wonderful organization. So I guess my advertisement is more for them. If you're curious about kickstarting a garden this coming year, I'm mostly vegetables. Most of the people there are flowers. But come at 6. And mingle and see if you like it, and they're always looking for new members. So that's my matter not on the agenda. Thank you.
I would certainly encourage any residents to check out the Garden Club. And Mr. Banger, could I ask you if you know, so that maybe interested parties could Google the person and perhaps get a little background, do you happen to know the name of the Rolling Meadows resident who will be making the presentation?
You know, I do. It's yours truly.
Thought that might be the case.
What's your home?
Are there other matters not on the agenda this evening? Then seeing no other matters on the agenda, there is a request to go into closed session this evening to discuss personnel, which falls under subsection C1 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. It does require a formal motion and a roll call vote. Therefore, is there a motion to go into closed session for that specific purpose? Mr. Veenbaas has made the motion and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the question is, shall the council enter closed session to discuss personnel? The clerk will please call the roll.
Veenbaas?
Yes.
Cannon?
Yes.
Prana?
Yes.
Majikis?
Yes.
Judd?
Yes.
Bancher?
Yes.
With 6 in favor and none opposed, the council will now enter closed session. Members of the audience and of the press are advised that we do not expect to take any action upon returning to open session.